Here, moving on to the next video, it is much more important to that before going to the machine design. So we need to understand what is the load, load and the types of the loads: dead load, live load, sudden load, impact load. There are four types of the load. Dead load is nothing but a steady load. Live load is nothing but it is a varying, continuously it is a varying load, and sudden load is or impact load. We can say both are somewhat slightly same, but there is a slightly difference between them, which are acting suddenly, like a hammering, or this effects we can call as an impact load. So we need to understand the loads, stresses and the strain. So what is meant by the stress, we need to understand. So stress is nothing but as the internal resisting force. This is whenever we apply some forces. If I consider this square block or a rod, when I am pulling this one by the two ends, there will be some force which will going to act on this body. So there will be an internal resisting force which is opposing to these two forces, is nothing but what it is called as a stress. So how we can represent this stress? So this can be represented by the sigma. So this symbol is stands for the sigma. So the formula, basic formula for the stress is nothing. Stress is force upon the area. So force is represented by normally by F, and area is by A. So area, which area we need to consider, it is important. So the force on which the area on which the force is acting, that area need to be considered. So now we cannot consider this area, we have to consider this cross sectional area that has been represented here. So this square cross sectional area can be given by the A is equal to B into H, that is breadth into height we can give. So if it is circular section, we can give by the area is equal to pi by 4 d square we can give. So this is nothing but what the stress, or else once again I will repeat it. Stress is nothing but internal resisting force that is offered by the body when some external force is applied. So please, if you are getting confused at some point, so please pause it, take it back, and once again listen it properly. So moving on to the next point, stresses can be defined into the various types. So it is having a tensile stress, compressive stress, or a shear stress. So there are some different types. When we are pulling some object by the two ends in the opposite direction, then it is called as a tensile stress. So it is represented by F by A only, same formula, it is sigma. And a compressive stress, when two forces act in the same direction, or else I can say in the towards each other. When the two forces are acting towards each other, then towards the object, then it can be said as a compressive forces. So it is also represented by sigma is equal to F by V. In some cases it will be tensile stress will be taken as a positive, and the compressive stress will be taken as a negative. So it depends upon the how the way we are considering that into the problem. And here next one is shear stress. When two forces act equally and in the opposite or same direction, then here those axes of those two forces are not same. You can see though both are parallel, but axis is not as same. So these kind of forces when act on the body, the shear stress will induce it into the body. So like this deformation may take place into the body. So here it is represented by tau, shear stress is represented by tau, and it is also given by F by A simply. So some these basic things, that is load, stress and types of the stresses we need to understand. So tensile stress or a compressive stress we represent by sigma, and shear stress we will represent by the tau. So in some cases we represent tensile stress by sigma T and compressive stress by sigma C. So we will see in the further problems how we will going to represent this, how these formulas will be used. Some basic concept these are. Still there are so many formulas we need to follow. So follow the other videos to study the further portion.